This week, DC Comics is looking to expand the mythos of the Superman supporting cast, likely in an effort to almost make the supporting cast as big as some of Batman's ginormous roster of characters with the Bat family. There's currently multiple generations of Robins and Batgirls over at DC Comics. This week, I want to go ahead and explore a brand new sidekick that's being introduced to the Superman mythos with this week's issue of Batman Superman World's Finest number 7. My name is Arakko Braddock, and today let's go ahead and explore the World's Finest issue to be introduced to DC Comics' brand new sidekick for Superman. And before we go ahead and kick off this video any further today, I wanted to encourage you to consider subscribing to the channel if it's your first time checking out our content. Also, why not go ahead and leave a like on this video if you enjoyed what you see today. And without further ado, let's go ahead and kick off this review for Batman Superman World's Finest number 7. This issue is written by Waid, illustrated by the excellent Dan Mora. We have colors from Tamra Bonvillain and letters from Steve Wands. In addition, the cover for the issue was also drawn by Dan Mora. Here's a little peek at the 7th issue of Batman Superman World's Finest, and this is our first glimpse at Superman's new sidekick, the Boy Thunder. Look at this text on the issue. It even says right here, "Meet the Boy Thunder." And I want to go ahead and read off DC Comics solicitation text previewing the issue. The untold story of Superman's short-lived sidekick is at last revealed. But what secret connection to one of DC's most timeless tales does this story foreshadow? Only time will tell. That's a clue, folks. The next epic arc in the World's Finest saga begins here. Introducing the Boy Thunder. So I want to go ahead and start by talking about just the Boy Thunder at large here, because it is for the most part the showcase of the issue. I'm showing off a preview right now from Adventures in Poor Taste, just to show how the opening of this issue really echoes some of the most prominent Superman stories, with the new sidekick Boy Thunder, whose name is David, being exiled from his home in this alternate reality of Gotham City, and somehow crash landing onto essentially our world, which is where this issue picks up. So this issue almost resembles like the moments where Captain America unfroze from ice. In the very early days of the Avengers comics. So we have but we have an even younger character than Steve Rogers in the form of David, who's really unsure about his surroundings in this issue and not sure about how his presence came to be in the first place. So the large part of the script here is really devoted to kind of explaining where David came from, what his origins are, how they tie into the current DC universe, and also we kind of get some hints at who David, might one day become as a superhero. Also, one of the things I wanted to talk about with this issue of Batman Superman World's Finest is, after further research, I found that the costume David is wearing, even on the cover here, was actually used in a older Batman Superman kind of World's Finest issue way back in the day, where Superman was wearing this as a disguise because he was kind of briefly depowered. His name in that issue was called the Nova. And when I saw this costume, I had a feeling that it looked similar to retro comic books, but it took a really long time for me to be able to establish that connection between what David's wearing and like where that ties in, with the DC universe. So that's just a fun little connection that I wanted to go ahead and share with everybody. We shouldn't go any further into this review without talking about the art. Look at the incredible artwork from Dan Mora in this issue. I think Dan Mora is one of the best artists currently at DC Comics. The way that Mora really lays out a page here is just absolutely stellar. This reinterpretation of Superman's origin, taking like different panels and arranging them in a really interesting way, I think just shows how well Dan Mora can sequentially tell a story here in this issue. And essentially, he does a great job really kind of explaining and, doling out some of the subtext in Mark Waid's script. Since Mark Waid has come back to DC Comics after a longer absence, I've noticed that Waid's scripts are a little bit, more straightforward. And I think Mora's art really lends itself to that kind of storytelling here. So I think the duo work incredibly well here in this issue, and had a great time just seeing how bright and how colorful the comic as a whole was. I really enjoy how the tone of this Batman Superman World's Finest series at large has been really positive, even despite like some of the really dark elements behind the Devil Nezha in the last arc. But I think this issue kind of cements the really optimistic tone that this comic book has as a whole. And, the more readers get kind of deeper into, how David could maybe start to interact with, like Batman's supporting cast with the different Robins and kind of like the newer DC universe at large, makes me almost get excited about him as a character and where we're going to go ahead and see David show up next in the DC universe as the Boy Thunder. In fact, I just think that's one of the most interesting parts of this issue, is hopefully this is the start of something brand new for DC Comics with the introduction of David as Boy Thunder in this series. So I think that's about all I have to say about Batman Superman World's Finest. This was a really fun issue that could be incredibly important down the line, depending on where DC tries to go with this character. I think it's really clever that they used his costume from a previous comic book series, because it gives David at least some sort of tie to kind of the overall series. Also, David has this interesting connection to both Batman and Superman, because David actually lived in Gotham, but his origin very much so resembles the origin of Superman, with basically, his planet, being falling into ruin and him having to crash land somewhere else. So really interesting to see kind of like these two mythologies converge, which is the point of the Batman Superman World's Finest series at large. So I thought this was another pretty solid issue of the series. Really want to see, DC kind of develop this character a lot further in some new directions, but really enjoyed what we got in this comic book issue. So did you like this issue as much as I did? I want you to go ahead and let me know down in the comments below. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to go ahead and see the introduction of the Boy Thunder to the DC Universe. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you real soon for the next one. Bye.